if you have an arc barrel for your reformer, you may wish to tag on some mat exercises as well. I do find it's a really great accessory for that. I also have another video for arc barrel exercises with the reformer, or a little bit more of a detailed review about how I use it, so you can check that out. But for mat work or just regular Pilates exercises, it does kind of offer some unique benefits as well. So the first one we're going to get into is just a little bit of a hip lift, or a little bit of a hip thrust, almost in a way, in a rehab kind of way. You might want to use a non-slip mat underneath to make sure it doesn't go anywhere, like so. And you also may wish to have another one on top. So this exercise, I have to credit Pilates Process, a really great studio in Toronto on the Danforth. So if you're in Toronto and you're looking for in-person training, they are fabulous. So feet are just going to be off the apex of the arc barrel. We're going to think of doing a little bit of hip roll here. Having the full foot support really helps ground the pelvis as well, because you do have more closed chain feedback. You can kind of sense the inner thighs getting activated with this, and then you can go into a full hip roll. So coming up all the way and then melting back down. But because of the position here with the heels down, we are more likely to get more of the posterior chain working. So I know some people just do hip bridges or lifts with the heels down like that, but it can get really, really hamstringy. So this is kind of like a happy medium. It's a really great warm-up exercise that I love to do with some of my clients. You can even stay in neutral spine and then just come up and down, and that way you're going to bias a little bit more glutes. If you have 2 arc barrels, or even 3, you can definitely sort of string them together. Again, another exercise that I have gleaned from Pilates Process, a lovely studio in Toronto. You can lie lengthways, or what is that? Yeah, longitudinally along the barrels here, making sure that your client has at least some decent core control. But it's really nice to open up the trunk, or open up the chest at least, and as well keep somebody in neutral, because there is that step down from the height of the barrel onto the floor. So from here, we can definitely do some toe taps, coming up and down while challenging the core. There's a little bit more wobbliness, because sometimes I find that doing them on a foam roller is just too much, but you still want to give them a little bit of extra work, and so this is kind of like a nice happy medium. If you only have one, you just might want to give them a little bit of a head support, maybe use a riser, see what you've got in your clinic space, but I really do prefer 2 for this exercise series. So this exercise is a Franklin method exercise for psoas release. And the arc barrel has, well, the Franklin method doesn't use the arc barrel, but the arc barrel does make the exercise a little bit more accessible that way. So you could say it's an adaptation. We're going to come onto our backs here, making sure that the sacrum is well supported at the top of the arc barrel. So truly this exercise is just eccentric psoas work. We're going to bring one leg up to tabletop, making sure that the lumbar spine is somewhat neutral, so we're not going to extend. And we're going to bring one leg up through to the ceiling, extend towards the ceiling, and then from here, eccentrically release through that psoas. So coming up into hip flexion, unfold the leg, and then slowly coming back down. So you can do this in parallel. You can also do this with a little bit of turnout. So once you get to the top, finding a little bit of turnout to come back down. I do find this really helpful for releasing sticky hip flexors, for releasing a sticky psoas. And then getting out of it, it's kind of awkward, so you're going to lift away and kind of push the arc barrel forward to get off of it. It can be a bit awkward, so just be careful when you do that one. We can also use the arc barrel for swan for anyone that has difficulty with range of motion or the weakness through the trunk extensors. So if you have a BOSU, that works fine as well. It can be a little bit more comfortable on the pubic bone, in fact, if you have a BOSU. But if you've got the arc barrel, it's a nice opportunity to give your client a little bit more range of motion and a little bit more comfort through the back if they're complaining about that. So balancing ourselves on the pubic bone for swan, coming forward onto the hands. We're going to find some energy into the legs. We can tip forward from here and then just seesaw back up. So it's just a nice way to make swan a little bit more fun, maybe a little bit more accessible for some individuals. But again, a really nice way to work a little bit of Pilates into your exercises with your clients if you have an arc barrel already.